Ribal Al Assad runs the Organisation for Democracy and Freedom in Syria, and he's a cousin of President Assad. Joins me in the studio. Very good evening to you.
Good evening, Joe.
It seems to be an increasingly troubling situation there of continued clampdowns and crackdowns against the people, and yet the protests continue. I mean, how do you see this developing at the moment?
The problem is that the Syrian regime, until today, was not able to understand what the people demands are. The people demand they cannot accept anymore the regime to continue on ruling the way that it used to be. The Ba'ath Party cannot be the only ruling party. People want a national unity government. They want the lifting of the state of emergency, which the regime has done. But what was it good for if it wasn't implemented? If they continue on using violence against those peaceful demonstrators? This is unacceptable. You know, the regime has to abolish the Article 8 of the Constitution, which states that the Ba'ath Party is the leader of the state and society, and has to have a national unity government right away.
President Assad has offered reforms, but he doesn't yet really seem to have acted on it in any way that appeals to those thousands of people out there who are protesting.
Well, he cannot continue on prevaricate. You know, this is unacceptable anymore. To say we are going to do this. He made two speeches that were that did not meet the people's demand, and it's clearly from what we could see lately. You know, it's very clear that people around him in the regime, including his cousins, Rami Makhlouf, who is who owns all of the Syrian economy. I mean, he controls the Syrian economy, and he owns every business in Syria. And his brother Hafiz Makhlouf, who is a general in the state security apparatus, who do not want those reforms to happen, because those people will be brought to justice. People cannot stand to see those people anymore controlling their daily lives, controlling every business in Syria. This is completely unacceptable.
Are the people generally against President Assad, or simply the way he chooses to run things at the moment? I mean, if he was to make concessions and to broaden out into a more representative government, would he arguably be able to stay there in some form or another?
At the end of the day, he's the person responsible. You cannot always blame it on other people, even if he's not able to. He has to come out and give, he has to choose. He has to make a clear choice. Is he going to be with his people, with the Syrian people, or he's going to be against the Syrian people, taking the side of those corrupt and state security people that are not letting him or not letting these reforms to be implemented?
What about what the outside world can do? As we've seen in the case of Libya, the outside world has actually intervened, but it's harder to imagine that that will happen in the case of Syria. We've seen the US now talking about targeted sanctions. Is that going to make any difference?
I mean, it's not yet on the table. This has to be, of course, this option has to be kept on the table. But we have to be very careful also, is that Iran will not let Syrian regime fall out of their lines. This is impossible because, as you know, through Syria, Iran controls Lebanon, they control Gaza, they control part of Iraq, so they will not let this happen. So they will use every way possible. And as we have seen also nearly a month ago, when Syrian foreign minister went to Iran, after his visit to Iran, he came out and said that the Gulf forces, when they intervened into Bahrain, this was legitimate. Well, we have to understand that they're saying this because the Syrian regime will not hesitate to ask for Iran's help if they feel that they are in danger. And I think this is what's going to happen. I think this is not going to just stop here.
Thanks for putting some perspective on it, Ribal Al Assad. Very good to talk to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.